This is week 3, session 5. We're going to do a little bit of, we're going to add a behavior to one of the elements in the screen to give you an idea of some of the things we can do. So I'm going to uncheck my background 2, unlock it, I'm going to click on it. And now we're going to add a behavior to these clouds, and this is called sign. And I can make an object move in a sine wave. So if I add this behavior to the clouds, I can have a look at the movement. I can add a movement in this to give us the impression that the clouds are moving gently across the sky, independent of the parallax effect. So this is the time in seconds for the cycle. So 4 is a bit slow. The cloud's going to move around quite a lot. So I'm going to give it 30 seconds. And then I've got magnitude. That's the difference in direction that it moves in pixels. So I want it to move across the screen. So I might give it one. I'm going to start off with 1,000 pixels. Now this can get relatively difficult because it will start in a location that's unexpected sometimes in this game. And you can randomize this if you want, and you can add an offset random so it moves up and down slightly. You can choose your different movements, vertical, forward, backwards. So let's do forwards and backwards. And let's test it. Oh, it's still moving pretty fast. And the reason why it's moving quite fast is because it's got quite a distance to move. So we have to wait a while, and here it comes back. So I want to slow this down a little bit. It's way too fast at the moment. So I'm going to go up to 120 seconds, 2 minutes, and let's see if that makes a difference. Okay, yeah, that's not bad. In fact, I think I can slow it down even more. To click on the item I want to change, and let's go 240 seconds and test it. That's better. Great. So I save it. I'm going to lock off this layer now, and we're going to work on the graphics layer. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to put in the start of a tile map. Now, tile maps take a bit of time to put in, so I'm only going to make a platform big enough for my character to stand on, and I'll put a bit of eye candy around it. Okay, so to put a tile map in is the same system. Make sure your other layers are locked off. I've got my graphics layer here that's unchecked. And I'm going to uncheck my game layer because that's where I want to put my platform. Okay, so that's unchecked. Right click on the screen, insert a new object. We scroll down and we look for tile map. Here it is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click and drag a square across the screen where I want my tile map to start. I'm going to want it to start at 0, 0. Whoops. Now I've clicked. What we get is we get a default tile map appearing. And what we want to do is we want to add our own tile map. This is for a top-down game. So I'm going to go to my folder, load an image from the file. I'm going to navigate to my class resources, and I'm going to have a little look for my first tile map. So that's, is it that one? I'm just going to check, press space bar. No, that's just black. Those are some trees. That's my jump through. There it is up the top. Okay, I'm going to open that up. We don't need to do anything to it, but we have the elements for making a basic tile map here. I'm going to close this. And now we have the tile map here. It's a little bit, it's covering my whole screen, so that's okay. It doesn't have to, but it's covering my whole screen. And I'm just going to make sure its position is set so we can be pixel perfect. So 0, 0. Good. Now to make a tile map work, you get a tab down here called Tile Map. If you cannot see that, if you don't have that on your screen, you can go to Menu, View, and Bars, and you can then select Tile Map Bar and it will show. Okay, making sure I'm in the game area, we'll click on Tile Map. For us to be able to see the tile map, we have to click on the map itself in the layer. So if we have a look here in our layers, you can see I'm clicked on the layer I wanted to put it in. And when I click on the tile map, here it is. Okay, so you can see that we have a whole bunch of shapes. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the tile map to draw some of our platforms. And we can do this by using the tools. Here we have a zoom tool, so we can zoom into our tile maps if we want. And you can see that set at 32 pixels, it matches. It's quite hard sometimes to match tile maps. If we look over here, we've got tile width and tile height, and then we can adjust our tile map if it isn't quite right by changing the offset and spacing of the tiles to get it right. I've had to do this when I've made my own tile maps, because it is actually quite hard to get it right. Anyway, this one's pretty good. So I'm going to start with selecting a square and then using my tools. You can see that there are two different types of brushes you can use. We have a selection area. We have a paint bucket tool where we can paint with tiles. We have a selection area, an eraser tool, and a paint and a pencil tool. So if I click on that with my pencil tool, I can find somewhere in my area and draw my tile map in. This is a bit zoomed out, so I'm going to zoom in before I do that. I'm just going to click, and I'm going to use my zoom tools. I'm going to have to click up here and just zoom in a little bit, and then space bar to move around. And you can see that I've already done some inadvertent painting. That's easy. I can use my brush just to delete them out. Okay, so let's make a platform using my paint tool. And then what I can do here, so I've got my left-hand side. Now I can add a few repeating tiles and make a long, thin platform and have an end tile. Okay, if I want to do bigger things, I've got a bigger tile platform here. So for example, I've got this. We could put a bigger one here and just drag it along. And then I have an end tile and an end tile to control where my platform is. I might put a big long one down the bottom here. So I want to have a deeper platform. I'm going to choose this one with a square edge on it, start at this corner and just run it along. Whoops. There it is. Run it along, and then I can add a little bit of base to this. So I can choose two different matching tiles. Sometimes they match and sometimes they don't. I can overwrite them, so we could just fill this area in, and we can do something with it in a minute. We can have a look at having dark areas under the tiles. Now, so for example, if I use this tile here as a dark area, it's the wrong way around. I can rotate them and mirror them. So I can mirror this tile. Now, if I put it on here, it's the right way around. And if it's not a bad, or I can use the one that's actually preset, but you'll find now the preset will be offset as well. So if I uncheck that, you can see now that it just goes around. I'm going to make that a bit higher and just drag it along. And we could add sort of curvy bits, so we can have that going up, and then we could just have a darker area, put some black in from another tile map. So I'll just delete those at the bottom here. And go up, got an end tile, and see how we can, no, that doesn't work. Yeah, that works. It's a bit of trial and error, but we get there eventually. No, wrong way. Difficult. Let's do a, what have we got here? I'm just gonna, nope, that's no good. We want a square, here we go. We'll leave it for that for now. Oh, we might be able to get a curly bit here. Hang on, look, we've got this curly bit. Okay, and then we'll have a go later at smoothing this out. But you can see you've got some relatively good tools, but it does take a time. Of course, the reason why I said don't do a lot now, because you might want to edit, you're going to have to plan out your tile map. We know we need to have a flow here, so our character can move around on different areas on the tile map, but that's not a bad start.